Colby Covington recently stated in one of his interviews that after becoming the welterweight champion by beating Leon Edwards, his next fight will be against lightweight champion Исла Makhachev, and he will beat him quietly. Hello fighters, this is World of MMA. In this video, I am going to predict a potential bout between Исла Makhachev and Colby Covington. But before we start this video, don't forget to subscribe and like it so you won't miss our next interesting videos. Here we go. Colby Covington shocked everyone when he showed up at the weigh-ins before the Leon Edwards and Kamaru Usman trilogy. No one expected Colby to be the backup fighter and the insurance for the main event. All the media attention was on him. After Edwards successfully defended his title against Usman, UFC President Dana White announced that Colby Covington would be the next welterweight title challenger. As of now, the fight has not been officially announced yet, but is scheduled to take place this fall. By the way, Islam also fights in the fall against the winner of the pair Oliveira-Dariush. If Colby becomes the champion and Islam successfully defends his belt, then it will be profitable for the UFC to make such a fight. Islam himself stated that he wants to be a double champion, and we'll move on to the breakdown of this fight. Can Colby defeat Makhachev, or will Islam destroy the American? You'll find out all that when you watch the end of the video. Here we go. And as usual, we'll start our analysis with the striking, and the first one we have is Makhachev. Islam, as you all know very well, is a fighter of elite level. Of course he is going to improve. Compare his striking in his first fights and in his present fights, you will see a huge difference. He's now quietly competing on the hands of former #1 pound-for-pound Alex Volkanovski, who even expected Islam to put up such a serious fight against the Aussie. He even managed to send Alex to cover a couple of times. So it's not a good idea to underestimate Islam's striking technique. Now let's move on to Colby Covington's striking skills, and we obviously have a lot to talk about. As we know, Colby is a basic wrestler, but if he needs to, he can easily box. The fight against Robbie Lawler is a case in point. In that fight we saw for the first time that Covington not only knows how to wrestle, but also how to fight intelligently in the stand-up. If you take a closer look at his fight, it's clear that he has no goal to knock out. What matters most to him is the fact that he's striking. He's not taking at the expense of power, but of quantity, and that's how he's outboxing his opponent twice or even 3 times in a stand-up fight. But lately his jaw has been starting to give out. A total of 3 times he has fallen in fights against Kamaru Usman. Also, a punched fighter in the form of Jorge Masvidal was able to put the American on his heel, and that tells us that if the Brit hits well, Colby is very likely to go down. After thinking long and hard, I'm still going to pick Islam Makhachev as the favorite, since he has more techniques in his arsenal and beat the best puncher Volkanovski. This time we are going to start with Colby's wrestling, and he's a bit of a fish in water here. A few minutes in the stand-up, then a series of unanswered transfers. Why do I say series? It's simple. Colby transfers, but he's never been able to control his opponent. Rafael dos Anjos, Jorge Masvidal, even Tyron Woodley have risen from under the American, and so Colby takes at the expense of quantity. Now we get to Islam's wrestling, who has been learning the sport since he was a child, and it has paid off, as we see. Thanks to his wrestling skills, Islam was able to take out a fighter who was seen as a threat to him until this moment. Yes, I mean the Charles Oliveira fight, when Islam was throwing the Brazilian as much as he wanted. If anyone thought that was a fluke, then watch the confrontation with Alex.
Makhachev, in that fight, was also able to hold the Aussie without any tension. He did not manage to kill him or wear him down, but his control deserves a special praise. A lot of people say that Oliveira, Volkanovski, or anyone else will give Makhachev problems. But as we see it, these are people who don't understand anything about mixed martial arts. In this aspect, I will choose Islam Makhachev as the favorite with a slight advantage. What can you say about Colby's cardio? I can say with absolute certainty that the American has the best cardio in the entire UFC. He can go at least 10 rounds and destroy his opponents. He has the highest rhythm, and I've never seen him get tired of it. He's always pushing forward and getting what he wants. Moving on to Islam Makhachev's cardio. Islam showed in his last fight that he can go all 5 rounds at high tempo. Not without difficulty, but he can. But I'll pick the favorite Colby. He went through much more 5-round fights than Makhachev and did not get tired in the championship rounds. As for the spirit, I'll give more credit to Makhachev, who will always go to victory. I don't think there will be much of a wrestling in this fight, as both are very good wrestlers. Still, I think Islam will be able to beat Colby in the stand-up and take the win by decision of the judges. What do you friends think? Write your opinions in the comments. Bye all.